Hello, welcome to Get Your Mind On. I'm Lori Stohs. So last week we talked about bullying in the workplace and how that's really a little bit of a silent killer, especially for engagement. Well, we're going to continue that conversation today and really think about that bullying aspect and if you are being bullied. So I think when you step back and think about it, are you going to work every day and not wanting to go to work every day? Some people just get that Monday morning blues, but guess what? It happens Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And really we have to step back and say, why am I not wanting to go to work? Well, first, I think you have to recognize about, is it the job or is it the person? So when we really think about the differences, am I liking my work? Is it a good fit for me? That's different than understanding am I not wanting to go to work because I am being picked on, or I'm being bullied, or I have this pit in my stomach because I'm afraid I'm going to get yelled at today. Those are two different things. So first, let's think about the role of a manager. We know that managing does happen to, some of the managers happen to be the bullies. And so I think first we have to step back and understand the role of a manager versus the manager being a bully. You know, a manager's job is to hold you accountable. A manager's job is to give you feedback on your work, sometimes even constructive criticism, as long as it's being shared in a constructive way. They are there to hold you accountable. All of those things are roles of a manager. Now, of course, we want the positive things as well as making you successful, knocking barriers out of the way, and giving you feedback and positive affirmation about your work and recognition. So you really have to first look at what is the manager's job and what are you getting from that front. Now, on the other hand, if you have a manager who is constantly intimidating you, yelling at you, picking at your work, nothing's ever right. Also, I think the bigger thing with this piece is, is it kind of defamation of your character, or are they going to hurt or harm your professional image and your professional brand? That is not acceptable. Those are the things that are embarrassing you in front of the team, saying things that are inappropriate, leaving you off of emails because they're not giving you the information you need to be successful. Those kinds of things are definitely the bullying type. And so you really have to first, if you're in the bullying situation, step back and understand why and what's going on, because I think that's really important, because there's sometimes that we're not a fit for the job and we're not really doing our best. So I think you just have to be neutral about that initially, but you know if it's causing harm to you, harm to your brand, if there's, you feel psychologically affected, mentally affected, your self-esteem is shattered, that is a situation where it's bullying. So how do you handle it? How do you handle what's going on in the workplace? Well, first, as anything, when we have conflict with people, whether it's a manager that's doing this to a subordinate or even a higher level individual, is you need to address it instantly. When it happens, nip it in the bud right away. So just coming up and saying to that person when they say that to you, you just have to say, I do not appreciate you talking to me that way. I treat you respectfully and I would like the same. That's it. One line, say it and be done and move on. The challenge is if you stay quiet, guess what? It will continue. It's enabling that person to allow them to just go ahead and continue beating you up because you're allowing that to happen. So first you have to try that. You need to deal with that person one-on-one in a very respectful and positive way. And I know sometimes the self-esteem is already beat down and you don't want to have that, but you have to stand up for yourself. You're letting somebody else pretty much just grind you in the ground. And that's your issue in terms of how you deal with it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, if it continues to happen, obviously, and you've tried to work with that person and deal with it, then you should talk to your HR department or your that person's manager and talk about what is going on. Do the best you can to document some of that. If I'm in that role, of course, I want to know when it happened, what types of situations, giving me some proof and understanding of what has happened, and probably that it's continued to happen in certain, so we know that it's a pattern. But definitely talk to somebody in terms of how you handle that. Third, if both of those things have happened and you don't feel like anything has been done, unfortunately, it is hard. It's hard to say, do I want to make a change or not? Now, hopefully work environments are allowing that to not happen and having conversations and moving it forward. Again, it goes back to, is this discriminatory or is this harassment or is it bullying? Whatever it is, it's not right. So that's a big piece of it. So I think when you think about those kinds of things, third is, as my story I said in the previous video about the woman who had to leave because nothing was being changed. She had gone through that process, nothing changed. So you have to stop and think about what's best for you. Is this affecting your life? Is this affecting your life at home? It probably is. Is it affecting your self-esteem and your psychological well-being? It probably is. If that's the case, you need to make a change. And most people don't because of the fear of money, the fear of, not finding another job, whatever it might be. But the longer we continue to happen, that just proves our own lack of self-worth in ourselves. And then what happens is that seeps into other places. That seeps into our personal relationships. It seeps into our relationships with our kids. All of a sudden, we think something's wrong with us. And then all of a sudden, the boundaries are open and we're not holding others accountable in terms of how we treat ourselves. Once you get down to that level, it's very, very difficult to get out of it. So I really want you to think about that. So when you think about also how to deal with it is when you're in that moment in the situation is the documenting. But really, I think there's a healthy way of journaling. I think there's a way of journaling some of this over time early on. So if you're feeling that way, it's not like you're necessarily documenting legally. You can that too. But I think there's some emotional pieces that we have to connect with understanding in a neutral party what's happening. So I think that's good. I think the other thing is exercising and getting yourself out and getting your mind clear, going for a walk, taking a walk and saying, I need to get out of this workplace for a little bit. And again, I think the last thing is really evaluating, is this the right role for me long term? So when we think about bullying, there's just a lot understanding if you're that victim of being bullied. So for positive charge this week is one, if you're in that bully situation, first, step back and evaluate it. 2, are you a fit for the role, or is this a true bullying situation? And 3, what action are you going to take to make a change? Bullying in the workplace is a very difficult challenge that we have today with so much of it happening. And again, we don't want to go to the extreme, and sometimes people think, I'm overreacting. But at the end of the day, you deserve the best. You deserve the best workplace, the best work environment, and everything it has to offer. So take some time and really think about you and think about how to manage it, how to have that conversation, and how to make a difference in your life. Thanks for joining us today, and remember to get your mind on.